Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Spring Piston Rifle Fever. I did a post and I had asked people if they wanted to see me disassemble, deburr, and degrease and put back together my HW50, and I had quite a few people that said yes. This just arrived today and I had received notification about it and asked my boy to go out and get it. So he did, and he said it looked like a gorilla had gotten a hold of it and took out some anger on it. Just looking at the barrel now, some smudge spots and stuff. So I'll clean it up and see what it looks like. Yeah, it's definitely not perfect. They don't come perfect anymore, but I got some towels, I got some tools out here. This is the HW50 in 177 caliber, and oops, I probably hit the speaker there. In 177 caliber. I like the HW50s in 22 caliber so much that I decided to get this, and I wanted something that was going to shoot a little flatter. And some people will, well, let me back up. Somebody had said, made kind of a rude comment that everybody knows that you get 177 caliber for a 12 foot-pound spring piston rifle. Like I was supposed to know, like I was dumb, but I knew exactly what I was getting. I knew I was getting something that would be closer range, that would be perfect for garden work, for a bunny or something like that that was in your garden. But this rifle is pretty nice looking. I'm going to end up putting some oil where the checkering is on both sides here of the pistol grip and foregrip. There's the front sight. Make sure I don't ram it into the wall while I'm doing this. And sometimes I might not talk while I'm working on this. It's just I got to fully concentrate. So down below, every HW rifle comes with different interchangeable front sight globes. And it has a 4 rear sight interchangeable area back there for your rear sights. You just pull it out and spin it. So that's sweet. I am glad that this cocks, so that's good news. Look down the barrel once. Probably quite dirty, but it looks good. It might kind of sound weird, but I actually pray over air rifles when I get them. I pray that they work good, that they're accurate, not pellet picky, like cheap ammo, things like that. And you know what? Every last one of them I've gotten have been that way. So I thank God for that. I'm just taking those off, and now I'm gonna get to work on this. I'm gonna have the camera angled down at the table. This table is a mess. If you want to comment, you can comment all you want. It's my mess. I know where everything is. I have all the tools that I'm gonna need right in one spot. So that's important to have. Having all your tools in one specific spot. So I will try to talk as I go, and this is probably going to be a long video, but I will have my master editor, my son, work on this video. So here we go. So flip your rifle over, and it's got 3 screws. And when you take your screws out, I'm going to use a straight slot. Take your screws out, you lay everything in one spot. Get any tools away from your rifle that you don't want to dent your stock. Take your time. I usually like putting my fingers in here to guide so I don't slip off and gouge anything. And believe me, I have gouged plenty of rifles. So I take that off. It's got a little star washer. I put that right there with him, and I'll put that over the top of him. Take off this front trigger screw, rear trigger screw. Ooh, that one's cinched down tight. By the way, if you didn't know, that this is the rec-cord trigger and this is the adjustment screw to make a lighter trigger pull or heavier. And they have one that actually breaks, is for adjusting the crispness of it more than the break weight. But I have never even fooled with that before. Set that there, pull the stock off. Then you find a good spot to set your stock where you're not going to bump it or anything. So I'm going to set it over here on my bench where I do my occasional bench presses from. So then we have some pins that we got to pop out here, and get my pin puncher, get the correct one, which is that one right there. I'm going to put this over here. Actually, I'm going to put this little screw that's in the trigger. I got this from another air gun channel, and I think he got it from somebody else, to put that little screw inside there, because there's a nut inside there on the end, and you don't want things to get lost. So there, I'll put that there. I'm going to prop this up here. I wonder if I should punch them that way or this way. It might not matter. It looks like they should go this way. So there's these two little pins here I'm going to punch out, and then I got 4 little blocks on both sides that I got to punch out also. Actually, I'm going to use my hammer for this. Try to get junk out of the way. That's one of the hardest parts of making a video, is having stuff in the way and wrecking your video. Ooh, that's sliding off. Slide her all the way down here in the groove of this screwdriver. So I got some good cushy material under this. It's a foam. It makes it really nice for working on air guns. There's one pin out. We'll put that with the screw and the trigger group. Next, I'll punch out the next one. And then I'm going to take this finger and I'm going to place it over this safety, because there's a spring in there. And, well, first of all, I'm going to get it started. And then I'll do that. Ooh. Now I'm going to put my finger here. That other one's out. So I got my finger over that safety, and now I'm going to pull the trigger housing out. There's your trigger housing. There's that little screw on the back there. So I'm gonna get the safety out first before I do anything else. I'm gonna flip this around. There's your safety and your little spring. Put that all in one spot, far away from where you can bump it and make it go away. And next up, I was going to say something. Oh yeah, about the trigger. So I'm going to cock this. I'm just going to push that down there. Maybe. Oh, there we go. So this little screw right here, that little Allen screw, you can adjust that for your trigger crispness. And I'm thinking in this window you can see it, but I'm not 100% certain on that. I'm definitely not the air gun guru for knowing everything. All right, next up is our blocks. And I got a couple of quarters in my pocket. I have a little tool, and I did get this from another air gun channel, this idea. So that's to help pop these blocks out. Get my screwdriver out of the way. So next, this block here looks like it already wants to come out. So I put this in here, and there's a little hole in there. Let me lift this up. On the inside, you can see that there's little holes in there. Well, those are from the regular pins that hold the trigger. But for these blocks, there's little holes in there that you can't see real well with this lighting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my little Allen key, and I'm going to, it's hard for me even to see down here, put that in there. Then I'm going to slip a quarter behind it. And then I'm going to slip, maybe I'm going to, there we go, finally. Make sure we're on camera. And I'm going to give it a little tap. Well, that thing's coming out pretty good already. Huh, look at that. Sometimes these will come out really hard, and I have a little file right here. So if you take a little file and you very carefully go over the edges of that, it can make it so it will go back in easier if it was really tough. Sometimes they're full of burrs and stuff. All right, got that quarter in there. Give this a few tappies. And this is coming out pretty nice too. Yeah, how do you like that? I won't complain about that. That one popped out very nice. So then, get my quarter out of the way. Sometimes I'll use 2 quarters. Sometimes I need 2 quarters to put behind my Allen key. So I would stick this Allen key in the hole and put those quarters there. And it just gives a little bit extra leverage, if that makes sense. So I'm going to set these over here. This little tool over here, I won't need it anymore for a while. I'm going to just take my punch, and I'm going to punch out those other blocks. So I just go straight through. See, so I'll just go straight through, and I will tap it, but this is going to be face down. I'm just going to give it a tap with a hammer, and that one's out. There's that one. Let me turn it from the side so you can see. It's got a little nipple deal there. It has to fit in a hole. You can see that it's curved, so that has to go alongside the compression tube. Otherwise, it won't go in. The worst thing to do is to force something, and then you wreck your gun. And that's not good. So that's popped out. So you don't absolutely have to have a compressor, a spring compressor for this, but it does help. So I'm going to show you this next part here. So the part that holds the trigger housing holding group, that's my word that I made up, very redneck. So I have to push this in. See that little nubby there? Right there? That has to go up and then turn inside into there. And then I twist and the whole unit's going to come out. So I'm going to get a block. I'm going to use an old piston seal. I'm going to put that right there. I'm going to get that lined up, and I think I'll stand up to do this. Get it lined up here. Get so I can see good. Make sure that's right in the middle. It's a brand new spring, so I don't know if I can do this. Oh yeah, no problem. Get that out of the way, that out of the way. Then you got your bolt housing group or trigger housing group, and there's a nut right here that comes off. Keep that together, keep it all in one spot. All right, now we're going to look at the inside. I'm going to grab some paper towels immediately and start wiping stuff. So generally, there is like a oil that's inside of these. Ooh, this thing's really nasty. Generally, there's like an oil inside the compression tube more than a grease. This is grease here for sure. So I'm going to clean this all up really good. What really drives a lot of air gunners nuts is spring twang. But I've been using this, cover up everything, cover up the this moly grease. It's for automotive. I've actually used this in my HW50 22 caliber, and I shot it in a very hot area condition, and I didn't have any problems with it. Actually, I'm not going to clean up too much. I'm just going to wipe this off because there's some other things I want to do before I get to fully work on that. It is kind of nasty though. So there's a mainspring. Put that right there with that guy. So next, in order to get the piston out of here, I have to take the barrel out of the action. So I'm just going to open it up a little bit, And you got to take this back screw off here, or nut. This is a nut for the bolt. It has 2 washers that go through the middle. I usually don't do videos like this because it just seems like so much goes wrong, but let me turn this way. Get up closer to it. And I'm going to turn it so this tube will go into me. I might have to get a bigger screwdriver. Let me try this first. No, I'm going to see if I can get a bigger screw head here. Slightly bigger anyhow. There we go. Set that back down here. Get things lined up right. Ooh, there we go. Once again, keep your hand right here so you don't slip and gouge your brand new rifle and make you upset. Take that off. There is a little spring washer in there. So I'm going to flip that over. Hasn't fallen out yet. And I'm going to take this bolt out. See how I'm using my fingers to protect it? You might not be able to see everything, but I have to have those fingers there. I have to protect my rifle. I don't want to gouge my brand new rifle. Eventually I probably will, but I don't want to do it today. And there's another little washer right there. So I'm going to put that there. I'm going to check this other side. This other side fell out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, well, first of all, I'm going to wipe this down a little bit. It's really greasy. And I'm going to put some moly grease there later. So there. I'm going to wipe those threads off. I'm going to put that back on. I'm going to put that back on just a little bit. Keeping everything together is a very good idea. So next off, I'm going to bring this back up here, and that slides up like this. And then your barrel can go like that, and then you have a washer here. Put that up here in the area that is the safe spot. There's one on this side. Put that right there. See if I can pull this out now. There we go. So I got that pulled out. All right. I'm just going to set that there for a minute. The biggest thing I'm going to get after right now is I'm going to punch this pin out of here because there is a little spring under there. And this whole thing is to prevent galling, but my friend Anton at Airgun Nostalgia, he and I both had taken the spring totally out, and we both noticed that the gun rattled when it was shaken. Neither of us liked that. Pretty good and greased up though, that's for sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that spring out. I'm going to cut just a couple of coils off of it. So you look at both ends of this pin. That one you can see that it's fatter on one end, and then you look at this end and you see it's narrower. So you're going to want to punch the narrower side out first, because you don't want to punch the fat end through your piece of plastic and wreck it. So double look. Set this up here. Right there. Get a good punch for the right size. Get a hammer. And now we're going to punch that out. That pin's punched out. One side is narrower than the other side. So this is going to have to go back up in here like this. So as soon as I pull this out, I'm going to put that back in. So I know which way is the correct way. So there's your little spring. You can see that. So I'm just going to cut a couple of coils off that. Sure is good and greasy. My snips. So I'm doing this right away, and I'm going to put it together right away. It's one of those deals where I don't want to dilly-dally or forget what I'm doing, or miss what my intention was on doing in the first place. All right, here we go. Got it just like that. Hold on to your spring, squeeze tight, and there you popped a few coils off. So you're going to put that back in there, right in this groove, and just kind of going to balance there. And then you're going to put it back in here. So you pull your pin out. You know which way that goes in. Probably got that screwdriver in the way. That spring fall? Nope. All right. I got the hole lined up now. Now I gotta redo the spring. I think it fell out. Nope, there it is. Definitely could use more light down here. I'm going to pull that out once. I got to make sure I do this right. Oh my goodness, that neck hurts. I think that's right. Yeah, that's right. Always, it's okay to second guess yourself. So for the spring, I'm putting that sharp curly end up in the plastic right here, so it's not rubbing against the steel. And one way to get that spring to hold in place, if you're struggling, would be to add a little grease to it, a little gunk. So I'm getting that started. Put a screwdriver under it, right there. Give it a tap with my hammer. Finish, well. Grab my punch and punch it in a little further. Bigger punch. I'm going to tap it in just a little more. I like this one better. Got to make sure you don't tap it too hard and tap it all the way through. That took a few minutes. So I got that back in there, so it's holding that still. On the other channel, he advised getting rid of the spring. I ran into problems with that. I didn't like that. So I'm going to wipe the grease off here. Wipe the grease off there. And there's other grease here too. And it might be okay, but I'm going to use some moly grease in that area. Now we'll take the piston out. See that in there? So just take a screwdriver, put it on the side, bring it down. It's got a little spot that catches the trigger. Sear, pull a little further. This piston still doesn't look the greatest. Let me look at it. Maybe it was just the grease that it was in. It looked like it was already shot and burned, but I think it's just the grease that they had inside of it. Oof. So, kind of greasy, grosso. So there's that. I don't get super there we go. All right, now I'm going to clean out the compression tube a little bit. First, paper towel, and it's just a dowel rod. I'm just going to fold the paper towel over it like this. I'm going to stick it inside the compression chamber, and I'm going to rotate as I go. And that rotation and constant pressure should help hold your paper towel there. If it doesn't, just take something like this and pull the whole unit back. Well, it wasn't over greased. Usually it's really over greased. The piston had quite a bit of grease on it. So I think I'm going to clean it up a little bit better though. So I got some Goo Gone, and I'm going to put that back. I'm going to put some on the rag there. Ooh, or quite a bit on the rag. And I'm going to put it here on my dowel rod again. This whole job is not that hard, as long as you pay attention to what you're doing. That is the most important part. So you can see more junk came out there. I'm just going to throw that down on the floor. Lots of paper towels is needed. This really is just to make your rifle work better. It is to add life to it, because you don't want to see how quickly your new air rifle can be non-functional. One of the biggest problems is when these rifles come, generally there's so much oil inside, they burn up that the D-sling will get so hot that it will melt holes on the side or gouges on the side of the piston sill, and pretty soon your pellets are floating out of the barrel because you had too much grease in there and too much dieseling. Well, it was a little dirty in there. We'll flip that around. Minor dieseling is not the biggest deal in the world, but major dieseling can be. What I really can't wait is when I can go out and shoot this guy. So I want to get rid of this grease a little bit. Now I can't turn because it was too tight in there, but it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be clean. Now I have a little pull patch here, and I'm gonna see if I can, oh, excuse me. Push this into the compression port hole a little bit. Just something to clean it up a little bit more. Yeah, not too well. Yeah, that really don't matter, as long as it's not full of junk. These patches really are for the barrel. So I'm going to set that right down here where it was, and the patches down where it was. Now we're going to come to the deburring part. And you got to be careful for all of this. All of this can be razor sharp on the edges. You do not want to cut yourself with this. So immediately You can use your fingers to feel inside and see if it's going to catch. A lot of it's not too bad. So you can take your file like this, and this is all that deburring is. It's to remove some of the sharp parts, and also on the caulking shoe if that's sharp also, which it didn't feel too bad there. It's just definitely not going to cut my finger. So you make sure you don't stick it too far inside the compression tube and scratch up the other side. You don't want to do that. So you gently just go up and down a few times is all it takes, generally. And then you got the little spot at the top. So you're going to go around in that. And this will help prevent your piston seal from getting gouged. And a few other things can help that too. How you push it in. And all these little holes and stuff, you can deburr all of these. But I'm feeling with my finger and it really doesn't feel that bad. But all it would take for you to deburr it is just taking your file, putting it inside, catching the edge, and pulling back. Same way with here. Just run it down inside a little bit. Now all those little holes. Yeah, deburring is not real scientific. There's where the safety is, where it pops out and goes in. Oh, I did see a little piece of metal come up there. So this was worthwhile. Then you're definitely going to want to clean that out again because you don't want any metal shavings inside your tube. I'll pull this down a little more. Maybe further. Maybe less, because I have two paper towels here and they're fighting each other. It's not like there would be a ton of metal filings, but there might be a little bit, and it's best to clean up. Always try to put pressure on the side of the tube with your dowel rod or your wood rod, and so you get everything. Does it look good? Looks good to me. Now it's time to, I'm actually going to clean up this spring more because I want the grease that I have to stick to this better. Before I even do that, well, actually I'll clean it first. But I'm going to push, I'm going to put this spring guide in there to see if it fits better on one side or the other. Actually, I'm going to put some of this on there because I want to clean it up real good. I don't want to cut any corners for video's sake of trying to hurry up and get done. Because we got the power of editing. This is going to be a long enough video as is. Hopefully it doesn't stop recording. Well, I can't even hardly talk. Recording. All right. Yeah. My goodness. All right. There we go. I'm going to pour some more of this on there because it kind of slipped. I had to have the rag slip down further. There we go. So I'm just going to hold on to this rag. See how I put it through the spring like that? I personally think this is a good idea if you got a certain type of grease that you're going to put on your spring and you got like an oily grease and you put that thick grease on top of the oily grease. I don't think that the thick grease is going to hold as well. You want to get that thin, oily grease off first. So I'm just twisting it as I go. Bye-bye. Wipe out the top, wipe out the bottom. Also, you can do some sanding on the spring. I didn't talk about that. That's another area that needs to be deburred, and we'll do that in a minute. So I'm going to get rid of that one on the floor. Grab this one here that's more dry. So you make your rag a little thin or twist it a little bit, and you can fit it in the spring where you want it. And once again, twist your way down. And you're going to want to do this a couple of times. Actually, part way when you're going down, because your rag's going to be getting full of junk, you can wiggle that rag in there further and get a new dry spot and keep on going down. I'm just hoping that all this turns out decent on the camera. You can see it's building up again. So I'm going to move the paper down, towel down. So I'm kind of wiggling it into the spring. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of wiggling it into the spring. There we go. Now, for what I can't hardly reach it, by doing it that way, I'm just sticking this inside a little bit and twisting it back and forth. I'm going to do the same thing over here. That's not too bad. I'm going to do one more. Throw that down. So you might want to go to the grocery store and buy more paper towels. Otherwise, your wife might be mad at you because you used all the paper towels. But I think it's important to get all the grease or goo gone off, to get all that stuff off before you add the thick grease that you want on your spring. Yeah, that moly grease, it was very hot out, and the area that I shot the rifle in was enclosed a bit, and it was at least, I would say easily 30 degrees hotter. With that little test, the grease didn't break down, and it sounded like a tuned rifle. There was no twang or buzz or anything like that. I really liked it. So we'll see how it does with this one. All right. So if you fill your spring up here, it's very sharp on both ends. Where the spring was cut and ground down, it's very sharp there. So simply, wherever it is sharp, you just file a little bit. You don't have to go crazy on it. The spring does look a little rough, and I think I got some sandpaper over here on this other bench, so I'm going to I'm gonna try to smooth this out a little bit up here. You know, a lot of people say if they're gonna pay this much for a rifle, that they want everything to be perfect. I totally agree. It should be perfect. But often than not, they're not. And they can use a little TLC to get the most out of them. See how it caught that file? So I'm going to grab that other sandpaper and work on this a little bit. So this is some 220 grit sandpaper, and I know there's going to be people telling me I'm doing this wrong, but I don't care. This is what I'm doing, and this is how I do it. So I'm just going to circle it, move it in a circle, sort of like I'm signing my name. And once again, I don't think you need to go hog wild. If you want to, you can go for that mirror polish look, or you can just do this. And it's already smoothing up a little bit. I'm going to put grease on both ends anyhow, so that's going to help a lot with friction. Not perfect, but better. I think I would call this kind of like a redneck tune. People have their fancy tune kits. I got my redneck tune. I will use like a plastic pop bottle to shim these. Let me, before I say anything else, I want to fill this. That actually does not feel sharp at all. A little spot for catching the piston and cocking. It doesn't feel sharp at all. I'm not going to do a thing to it. So we'll leave that there. I think I will clean this up a little bit. Be sure not to get any of that on here because it can be a corrosive to that. Time for a new paper towel. I'm going to use two. One to clean it up, one to dry it. So the reason to do this is so the moly grease that I'm going to add is going to stick better. There we go. I might not even need that other paper towel yet. I think I can use part of this on it. So all I'm going to do is wipe it down. It's going to help get rid of that grease. Probably wouldn't hurt to go over the piston seal just barely on the edge because I'll wipe it off right away. Because I want my moly grease to stick to that also. Yeah, that is not going to hurt a thing. All right, down here, where the trigger sear catches, I'm going to clean that up too. Wipe it off good. Some people polish all this stuff, but I am not going to. I'm really close to being done to where I want it. So I'm going to see if there's a tight side and loose side. That definitely feels like the tight side, but maybe both sides are. Nope, one side is tight for sure. So I'm going to put that there for now. Set that there, and I'm going to open the moly paste. And I don't have a whole lot. So I have enough. So I'm going to go around the piston seal. Almost reminds me of like putting on face paint or something. Camouflage. It is important to get enough grease on here because otherwise your piston seal is not going to seal very well. And then I'm just going to put it on this part of the piston. Right there. I'm going to work my way down. And I'm also going to put some right in there. Because anything that has friction, grease is the cure. It's going to help your parts last longer. And we want that. We want our parts to last longer. Ooh, got a lot that time. If you get just a little bit too much moly, it's not the biggest deal in the world. All right, so now I'm going to put that in my compression tube slowly, because if there's anything that catches and rips the piston seal, that won't make you happy. So what I'm really doing is I'm just kind of wiggling it back and forth and not pushing too hard. So if you come across a spot where it starts to catch, don't push anymore. Take something like a punch and push against your piston seal and wiggle it a little bit. And try wiggling it on the other side and pushing. All right, I'm past that already. That's all it took. Take your time with this. Do not push fast. It's definitely catching again. I'm going to need to pull this out because I'm not going to wreck the piston seal. It's where these pins are catching on the inside. Where the pins go through, those holes, it's catching right there. So I'm going to wipe the inside out a little bit, and I'm going to have to use some of that sandpaper to reach in there. I do not have a file that's going to work that well for that, and it's going to leave little scratches. So where did I put that? There it is. Sandpaper. So I'm just going to wrap this around my finger and put it in there and rub on those spots. Or maybe do like this. I'll fold it in half. This is not a big deal doing this. You're not going to go hog wild. It's all you're doing is making it so it's not sharp and catching your piston seal. So other side, flip it over. I'll try to do it with my finger up. Get that first hole good right here. Improvising is necessary. So if there's too much junk in the way, you might just have to do something about it. Oh, I also forgot. The stop pin holes. That's one area that needs to be deburred also. It doesn't feel like they're really catching, and I don't think they're going to be a problem. Get your dowel rod and paper towel set up again. Roll it up. Put it inside. Give it a spinsy. That looks good. All right, back to trying to get this piston in. I'm going to put more grease up there again. You know, I had made a video, I think this last winter, about survival air rifles, and that you should actually, if you're going to use this air rifle for a survival air rifle, you should know how to take it apart and put it back together again. So it's really catching here on both these sides. Wiggle that side. Wiggle that side. Went right through there. So any area with holes, you're going to want to slow down. Feels like it's catching a little bit, so once again, I'll take a punch or a screwdriver. You can take a screwdriver very easily also and just push on that and wiggle a little bit. It's a little bit of a pain because you got so many spots to deal with. Well, this is one way you can do it. By just having a little pressure here and push there and then push there. And it slipped right by. Getting closer, so we got that right there at the top. So I'm going to push that. And I'm just going to give a little bit of pressure here. Actually, I can see where some of that moly rubbed off, so I'm just going to put some right there. And down here at the end where I didn't get so much moly before, I'm going to put some right there before I push it all the way in. Make sure your caulking slot is lined up right, and then start to push it in. Take a dowel rod, and you're going to put that in here, and you're going to slowly push it down, and then you're going to see the little window here, and then take your screwdriver, and we're going to put it right on the edge of that, and we're going to slip right by it. That might have taken a little bit of time, but it's better to take a little time instead of wrecking it. So I already got the moly grease right here. I'm going to rub some right there where this is going to be rubbing. We'll put some right here. That's going to help prevent. We're going to put some on there. These areas all. Then we got our shims. It's got some factory grease on that I'm going to wipe off. And I'm going to rub some moly grease on that. Both sides. We'll set it back there for the minute. There we go. So that's all set. Now I'm going to grease the spring. And what I discovered was with this, actually I'm not going to grease the spring yet. Hello. All right, but I am going to put some moly down here at the base of this. Because when the spring expands, it spins. When it gets compressed, it spins. I'm going to put a little bit of this on top of this also. There. Set that down there. Now, I'm going to move that away. That there. Get these punches out of my way for a minute. Being able to be clutter-free is important. More clutter, more confusion. And I got plenty of clutter. Sometimes confusion. All right. There, now I feel everything clearing up for me already. Getting rid of all that clutter confusion. So next we're going to put this back into this action. So a little bit of grease there. I'm going to clean that up. That guy there. Get it in the tube. Get my forks lined up there. Now it's time to put my bolt back in. Oh, one other thing you can do is you can wiggle that back and forth, because that can be a spot that can cause it to be hard to cock, but I don't really notice it. I should wipe off this cocking slot a little bit. It's got that factory grease there. See, when you talk and work, you forget. That's me. All right. So I'm going to take that nut off the bolt. Get that all ready. I'm going to wipe these threads down a little bit more, because eventually I'm going to put some blue Loctite on them. Get everything lined up here. Get yourself a punch to help you line things up. So you get that lined up, then you can put your shims back in. Do not force them. You force them, you stand a great chance of wrecking them. So get that guy in. And where I said I don't need my molly anymore, the molly is going to come back, because I want to have some molly grease on that pivot bolt. There. Put that guy in there. Give it a slight wiggle waggle. Do not force things. There we go. So I'm pretty close to having that bolt all the way through. I'm going to pull it back a little bit, and I'm going to put this shim in here. Take your little punch, gently pull on it. Do not force it. You might have to wiggle your barrel a little bit. I know on the other channel he talked about using a ballpoint pen to move your shims, and you can do that. You do whatever works. So I got that lined up. I'm gonna screw that bolt. So that I'm going past that already, so that's a good thing. Now I'm going to screw this in. Guiding with the fingers again to make sure I don't slip off with a screwdriver. It's never fun to put a scratch in your air rifle. Going to see how that sits. You can always tighten this up more later also. I'm going to cinch it just a tiny bit more. There we go. Put this back in this side. Move that out of the way, that out of the way. I better put it with the rest of the tools I use. Put the little spring washer in. Put the little nut on top. And screw that guy down. So close to being done, which is good. Oh, by the way, clean your barrel also. While I do have my patch kit out here and have a patch on, I'm just going to run this down right now. And I'm going to use a little of the no good Goo Gone. Now, if you're worried about your breech seal, go through the muzzle. And if you want, you can go the other way on all the rest of the patches. because there's going to be factory oil, grease. Ooh, I got sprayed. Oh, not good. So thread that through, like so. Now I'm going to pull it out. So all that goo gone is going to be in the barrel and not all over everything else that you don't want it on. And there's your patch. I'm going to reverse it and pull it the other way. The patch, not through the breech, through the muzzle. Yeah, that's the first time I ever did that. I actually got that goo gone in my eye a little bit, which had me highly concerned. I think it's mostly natural product though. It's like a citrus stuff. So there's that patch. Now we're going to run a few more patches through here. Got a patch right here. You're best off probably buying a good patch kit. Like, I think that patch worm is a high quality looking item. If you don't care, you just want to cut corners and you got some weed eater string, this is really easy to do. Just melt one end, sharpen the other end, and it works good. So there's that. We'll reverse it and pull it through again. I know there's going to be a lot of people telling me that going through the muzzle is wrong. In my opinion, the muzzle should be the cleanest part of the barrel. The whole barrel should be clean, but the muzzle should be the cleanest because that is the last spot where a pellet leaves the barrel. We're going to call that good. I'm going to get on with this video, and I can pull some more patches later. So, got that together like that. Next, get some grease. Wow, this is a long video. Now I'm going to grease up the mainspring. So I like using a paper towel because I don't like this junk all over my hands. Just get yourself some of that. Set that off to the side. I probably got way too much, so I'm going to have to be careful here. I know I got way too much. I got overzealous here. I'm going to get some on that guy. I'm going to put that in there. There we go. I'm just going to wipe it on and clean it off because I got a mess going on here. You definitely don't want to have too much grease. You're going to have some major problems. So I might be going through some paper towels here. Yeah, that's way too much grease. And I'm just going to end up getting this junk on my fingers. I'm going to get some paper towels ready. It is what it is. So I'm going to borrow this grease and I'm going to put a good healthy portion right here. That way it's going to be where the latch is, up in the piston. That rod is going to be what is going to catch that junk right there. I'm going to gunk it up pretty good right there, because the deal is with the vibration in your guns, if you can do something to stop the vibration, anything that comes in contact with a spring is going to help stop the vibration. So that's the deal with that. And that's why the grease works. If your grease is not thick enough, it's not going to work. Now I got a lot of grease here, and I'm going to wipe some of this off. It's ridiculous level. Huh. I need a little more on that spring though. How you'll know if your grease is failing is it will migrate up into the piston seal and you will get detonations. And that's something you don't want. So this is really, really greased up, and I think it's fine. There's no big clumps, but there is quite a bit of grease. And now I'm just going to put it inside here, inside the compression tube, and try not to get it all over everything. Yeah, I'm a mess. So I'll put this in here now. And even getting a little grease on the end here, that's a good thing too. Be careful when you push this stuff in here. If something slips and you get gouged, it won't be a happy day. There we go. You could hear that slip all the way to the end. I'm going to pause this and I'm going to get cleaned up. Brought myself tea down here and even haven't had a drink yet. I'm going to clean up the outside of this gun a little bit, or the compression tube, because I have that grease all over the place. And as soon as I grab a hold of this, it's going to be slippery and my hands are going to be a mess again. Boy, I made a mess. Well, it's cleaning it up good. Cuts right through it. Try that up on that barrel once. Huh. Now I got to clean that up. It is hard to get perfection. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little spot there where it's not blued like it should be. What I'm really most concerned about is this, if it's going to be accurate. Oh, also it looks like, well, there's some junk in there on this front sight post. There we go. Well, I think it landed in a clean spot anyhow. It's all about concentrating on what you're doing and or not concentrating. Put this guy back in. That guy out of the way. Get that there. Grab your trigger housing group. Put that there. I might have to use a compressor. This is awful tight. I can see if I can do it once without it. You get so much clutter, and then you can't see what in the world you're doing. All right. We'll see if I can do it or not. So the deal is, once again, this little nub here has to go up in between and turn and go in there. So that's the deal. And I'm going to stand up to do this. I'm going to need my strength to do this, especially since this spring is not broken in and it's going to be extra stout. Move that chair back a little. Get everything lined up perfectly. Grab a hold. Get that lined up there. So I don't want to have to turn a lot. Voila. And it's in. Never second guess my strength. So you got that in there. You're going to take your screwdriver and you're going to put it in here. See where that has to go all the way over? And I'm just going to push just a little bit. And it looks good. So next off, the blocks are going to go back in. And make sure I put them in the right way. If you don't have them in the right way, they're definitely not going to work. Remember the curve. Let me hold it sideways. The curve on this is going to go alongside the compression tube. I'll tap them with my safe hammer. Now I'm going to tap them with the unsafe hammer. Put the other side in. Give that a little tappy. Yes, I should use a brass hammer, but I don't have one, and I'm not welding on my gun. So this one here actually has a little chunk of metal. So that's one that you could use a file on and smooth that out a little bit. And it shouldn't take a whole lot. And if you're concerned about rust, have a little lube. Voila. Put that in that side. Take my trusty hammer. Now, by the way, I don't suggest you do everything the way I do it. I don't want you to wreck your rifle or anything, mar your compression tube, and then get upset at me. You're probably best off buying brass brushes, brass punches, and all that stuff. We're getting really close to being where I want to be. All I'm going to do is add some moly grease to a few of these parts here, instead of that factory stuff. If you want to do it really right, learn how to take this apart, be confident and do it, but I'm not going to. I know what it is to have major headaches fooling with this stuff, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to put some on top and on and below that, so it catches both. And Molly grease does improve triggers for sure. Oh my goodness. Sometimes it's just hard to push it down all the way. Plus, when my finger's pushing on the trigger, oh, go on. Woo! Everything's getting slippery. Oh, go on. There we go. Finally. Got that in there. Put this in there. Stick it in upside down. Another area that could be filed is this. I find that oftentimes catches, or else it needs to be tapped in a little bit more. I'm going to give it a little tappy. I'm going to use the big punch. Get it set straight, push in the table hard. Now I'm going to put it in. Okay, so you got that in there like that. Next thing you do is you put your pins in, put your safety in first, actually. So you're going to want to pull it back a little bit. Put the safety in. I got to pull it back further. There. You'll know if it's not right because it won't go in. There. Keep your finger over that so it doesn't slip. And get the correct pin puncher to try to get things lined up. That one's ready. So one's going to be short and one's going to be long. You want the short one in your first hole down here and the long one in the other one. And take that out. Push that there. Give it a tappy. That one started and good. There we go. Now I got that one lined up through wiggling. See how easy that second one went in? There we go. So next, I'm going to remove that screw. And it's best to clean these screws with Goo Gone or alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and putting some blue Loctite. Some people are against blue Loctite. I don't know why. I've always had to use them. But I'm almost totally done here. I'm just getting some stuff out of the way. Make sure I got everything so I can see where it is. Just don't want a bunch of stuff laying here when I go to put it together. So I'm going to give it a wipe. You can also give it a spray very lightly. Don't let it get up into the compression tube because you're going to have all sorts of problems. And wipe all this down. All right, time to put the stock on. By the way, I didn't say this earlier, but there is a little part right there. Don't lose that either. Trigger housing in. My little screw. The big front screw. And do not screw them all tight one at a time is my advice. One felt like it wasn't wanting to go. I think it's going now. Or not. See if I can get these back ones to go. Yeah, that's going. The little one's going. I hope that front one didn't strip or something. I felt it skip like. Don't look stripped. It's finally catching. Definitely do not force stuff. You will regret it. So, like I said, I'm tightening them up a little at a time. Taking my time. I don't want to slip off and gouge anything. I don't know how far we're going to get this video edited down, but it's taken over an hour to do this. Maybe I could do it faster if I wasn't talking, but so I will do chronograph tests and all that fun stuff. We'll compare this. All right, let me get the camera up here. Oh, it looks like I might have got some grease on the camera. Oh, we got shininess. All right, so make sure you pull the trigger. And then if it cocks, it cocked. This decocks, put it on fire, squeeze the trigger, it's back together. That's what I do. This is my disassembly, degreasing, deburring, regreasing, deburring, all that stuff, and putting it back together. I may use a little wood oil or something on here to protect that a little bit, but that's it. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, I'd highly appreciate if you would subscribe and give a like. And I got some shiny thing going on there with this light in the background. And God bless every one of you.